Good afternoon. Welcome to Afternoon Chat. I'm your host, Ghost Mostly. How's everybody doing today? Chat's up and running. Feel free to jump in and let's talk. I'm in Michigan, and we had some weather move in on us. It was cold this morning. Fall's coming, whether you're ready for it or not. Okay, it's gonna be here soon. Well, it'll get pretty when the leaves change, but it's still cold. Okay. Chat's going good. We had a couple of people in yesterday. Hopefully, we'll get them back in today. I'm having beard issues. I don't know what the heck's going on with it. I don't know, sticking out. I guess maybe I need to trim it. So I look funny. All part of your entertainment package. Okay. Ghost Mostly Media LLC is going to bring you all the stuff you need to get through the day, right? A little bit of humor never hurt anybody. Yeah, I think YouTube's finally starting to sort out the show and figure out where we're supposed to be. I'm seeing increased views, so it's working. Slow but sure, we'll get to where we need to be. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. There's no set topic. The only real rules are follow the community guidelines set up by YouTube. As long as we stay within that, we're golden. If you're having trouble chatting, you probably got to use another device, your phone, a tablet, or computer. Go to YouTube, download their Discord app. It's free, just like this show is free. But that'll enable you to be able to chat. If you can't see the chat streaming up next to my shoulder here, then you're going to need to enable it on your TV. But you should be able to see it scroll up there. I can put in another one here. Right there. When you chat, it should appear right there, and it should scroll up the screen. I had a good morning this morning. I went to breakfast with my father. A little one-on-one time with the old man. That's good for the soul, right? Yeah, it was pancake day. Well, it's cold out, so you got to have, a solid meal in you in order to warm yourself up a little bit. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do for dinner tonight. I'll probably just wing it because I had the pancake, I'm looking forward to a nice week, numbers wise, for the channel. I think it's progressing. I think we're getting better. I have not checked the analytics, but I do know that, I've had a couple of people in the chat the last couple of days. It's got me pretty excited about the show. I think that it's starting to work. Things are coming together. I don't know. Maybe if I could learn how to shave properly. Well, it can't hurt. I'm not sure when it's going to get what we would call busy in the chat. But as long as we have some activity in there, we're all right. I have it set on live chat, so I see every chat that comes in. I'll do my best to read them, comment on them, but I'm not, some kind of wizard. I don't know. I don't know about everything that goes on the planet. If you guys want to discuss something I don't know anything about, I'll be right there to tell you I don't know anything about it. But this is a free show. No commercials, no sponsors, no donations, no anything. 100% free. I do need to like and subscribe, but there's no charge for that either. I need you to like and subscribe to help the algorithm to push the show out and get it in front of more people. I'm sure it'll be fine. It takes a while for YouTube to figure out who your target market is or whatever, your targeted audience. I'm looking forward to figuring out who wants to chat between 3 and 5, Monday through Friday. Eastern. Okay. 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. When I originally designed the show, I was only going to be on 3 days a week. Well, that was brought up to me today. My father told me, he says, I thought you were only going to do it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I told him, no, I decided to go 5 days a week. I don't know why. Okay. Well, my production staff, there is no production staff. I just started clicking buttons. All right. That's how I figured all of this out. I didn't know I was going to be a live streamer. Okay. But I'm starting to enjoy it. It's fun. Yeah, I smoke cigarettes. I don't recommend that you do. I don't recommend that you do anything I do, except chat in the afternoon. Okay. 2 hours goes fast when we have people getting in the chat. It goes kind of slow when it's just me, but we're going to get to where we need to be eventually. I'm looking forward to the time when we get to, learn things. I really enjoy talking to people. It's entertaining to me. I like to find out what's going on in other parts of the world, what's on everyone else's mind. As far as me today, the only thing that really jumps out was the weather because it's changed. It was cold. I think it was 38 degrees here when I woke up this morning. And I think I woke up at the peak of 9. Okay. Yeah, I don't set an alarm clock anymore. That's for you guys that are out there in the rat race that are working, not for us semi-retired guys. I don't wear a watch either. I see no reason to. I sleep until I'm tired of sleeping. And well, I slept till 9 this morning. I went out to breakfast. By 11:30, I was back in bed. I slept for an extra hour and a half. I took a nap. I couldn't help it. Well, I went in to make the bed and it looked like it was comfy. So I crawled back in. What can I tell you? I don't have any other plans for today. I had, my father called this morning and said, "Hey, you want to do breakfast?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." I don't, well, I just, flipped the calendar over to October. I don't have anything written in for the entire month. And I like it that way. I don't want to be busy, except for Monday through Friday, 2 hours a day from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern. That's the only time I care to be busy. The rest of the time, I just got life on cruise control. Yeah, I gotta break open my Gatorade here and get my daily electrolytes. So what are you guys up to today? Jump in the chat and tell me what's going on. Are you busy? I'm guessing yes to most of you. Well, I was busy most of my life. I was constantly on the go back in the day. Thank goodness those days ended. Yeah, if you can retire, I highly recommend it. A lot less stress in my life. A lot less. I wish you could measure stress. I mean, how do you explain to someone the stress that you're feeling? There's no standard unit of measure that I'm aware of, anyways. It should be measurable. You got two guys playing a game of chess and they hook them up to electrodes and you can see that as the back and forth of the game goes, you can see this person's breathing has changed, their heart rate is elevated, their blood pressure is going up. You know what I mean? You can see all these changes. Stress, it has ramifications physically on your body. If it's, if you're going to feel it physically when you have mental stress, there should be some way to measure that mental stress. So, if you're trying to talk to your doctor about it, you could say, "Yeah, I was at 85 all of last week. I was stressed out about, mortgage, having to refinance the house or something." You know what I mean? They should come up with some way to measure your stress level. And not just with blood pressure, but, well, it's like if you go into the doctor and you got a pain, and he says, "What's your pain level on a scale of 1 to 10? Well, why don't they do that with your stress level? What's your stress level, 1 to 10? Are you more stressed out this weekend than you were last week? personal opinion. I just think that they ought to be able to measure it, come up with something. Well, if you look at it, not just in the news, but globally, stress is killing people. Well, I was at breakfast this morning, and a guy at the next table had just gotten out of the hospital. He had a mini stroke. I didn't ask him if he was stressed out. He's just an acquaintance, not a friend. But, I would assume that, he got stressed out. I'm glad he's still with us, But I think that stress makes a difference, whatever you're feeling. I don't have that much stress in my life anymore. Well, my kids are grown and gone. I'm not out in the workplace every day. I'm not, involved in the rat race. I'm not buying houses. I'm not buying cars. I'm not making decisions or choices. I think whenever you're doing that kind of stuff, your stress level can affect the way that you think things through. Personal opinion. But feel free to jump in the chat. If I'm going down some rabbit hole you don't think is worthy of discussion, jump in the chat and change the subject. Or just tell me to hush. Okay. I want the live chat to dictate what we discuss. I don't care what we talk about, but maybe you do. Maybe you've got something that you need to air out, or you just want to voice your opinion. That's what this channel's all about. People in the chat are going to control everything. I'm just going to kind of fade into the background. I'll be moderating, and I'll do what I'm supposed to do. You guys do what you're supposed to do, and it'll all work out. Okay. Eventually. But yeah, the last 2 days I had a lot of encouragement from what I saw happen in the show. Well, I wasn't swearing, and I didn't hear, anything bad going down, I think it's improving. I think it's getting better. It's starting to get a little bit of a flow. I'm starting to fall into a routine, Well, I kind of missed that in retirement. There was no longer any routine. It was not get in the shower by this time, get your, chores done. I used to try to fit all my chores into my work days so that a day off was an actual literal day off where I didn't have to do anything if I didn't want to. But when I retired, the routine was just thrown out the window. Now I'm starting to get a little bit of a routine back, and, makes me feel good about myself. Okay. I'm still capable. I know I'm not doing anything, but I'm still capable. I just find it mentally stimulating to meet and talk to people and find out what's on their mind. Yesterday, I was talking to a guy in New York City. I've never been to New York City. So if he jumps back in here today, I'm probably going to ask him questions about New York City. To me, I find it interesting. I was telling him a story about a couple of bartenders I met back in the day. Told me a horror story that in New York State, bartenders need to have their own liability insurance. That's kind of scary because bartender is not a high-paying job. It can be a good job if if you have an affluent clientele that tips well or something, But I don't think the average bartender is trading on the stock market. Okay, it's I know that some of the union places they have better benefits and stuff, but I don't think the wage ever gets up into five figures even. I could be wrong. I mean, I haven't talked to bartenders in every country or in every state. When I was in Vegas, bartender was a decent job, but it wasn't the greatest. Well, they were dealing with drunks. Okay. And drunken clientele is harder to deal with. It's a horse of a different color. They bring in baggage, basically. I had some run-ins with intoxicated people when I got into a supervisory position in the casinos. I had one instance, a man was so intoxicated that he threatened to cut the throat of one of my employees. That was real interesting. Well, he was too intoxicated. I couldn't just put him out. If I put him out and he gets behind the wheel of his car and runs somebody down, I'm liable, right? Well, the casino would be liable. So from a liability standpoint, I had to sober him up. Okay. It's kind of hard to sober up somebody that doesn't want to sober up. But you do what you got to do, In that particular instance, I fed the man. He still was drunk. So then I had to put him in a room and put a security guard on the door. And, after he sobered up and came out of the room, I asked him, to leave the premise. But, you can't put a drunk out on the street. But then you also have to investigate, who served the man and got him that drunk. You have a responsibility as a bartender. Well, that's the way I saw it. You might see it different. The risk management and department of the hotel I was working for, they didn't see it different. They saw it the same way I did. Got to handle them with kid gloves. And so hopefully today will pick up in the chat and some of you guys will get in here. If you haven't downloaded YouTube's Discord app, you got to get it. I'm not on any other platforms other than YouTube. So the only way you can get into the chat is through the YouTube Discord app. I understand a lot of people are using the other platforms. I wish them a lot of luck. Okay. They don't interest me in the least. It would help to populate the chat, I'm sure, if I were on other platforms, but I don't see any point in doing it. The chat will get populated eventually. But I don't care what we talk about. Any topic you guys want, it's fine with me. I don't want to put a thumb on the scale and say, oh, we got to talk about politics, or oh, we got to talk about religion, or oh, we got to talk about TV shows. I don't care. You guys determine that. Once the chat's populated, we'll be able to do polls and get information, and hopefully we'll all learn something. But when there's only one or two people in the chat, there's no point in doing a poll. Okay. It's going to be interesting to see how this channel takes off. I think it's going to be interesting to figure out what I do with Ghost Mostly Media. The options seem unlimited. Well, there are some things I don't want to do that I have no interest in doing, like becoming a full-time film editor. Does not interest me in the least. I'll be watching the football game tonight. Probably Tom Grassi's broadcast. Yeah, football is going to be really good this weekend. The Lions, my favorite team, they're playing Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. Well, I expect the Lions to win. I would predict the final score like 42-28, something like that, with the Lions victorious. (42-28, 42-31) in there somewhere. You know, it's the Lions offense is a well-oiled machine, and Kansas City's is not. They've found a way to win a couple of games, but they still got people out injured. And the Lions got people coming back. I think the Lions are more physical. And I would give the Lions an edge in speed as well. I know that they got some fast guys for Kansas City, but I think we got faster guys for the Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs, as far as I'm concerned, he's the fastest running back in the NFL. He's not the biggest or the strongest, but I think he is the fastest. My opinion. That's all I can give you is my opinion. One guy sitting on his couch in Michigan. Okay. You guys can take that for what it's worth. Okay. I think that this is going to work out. The chat room will start growing. I'm thinking 2 weeks from now, it'll be busy. Well, YouTube is putting us in front of more people. I think most people are watching on TV, but chatting with their phone. You can use your phone or a tablet or a computer. I don't think most of the TVs have the technology to chat yet. I think that'll be coming with the newer TVs, but you'd have to have the latest smart TV with all the bells and whistles, as far as I know. I've never seen it, but it's just a matter of time before they get it up and running. Technologies, it seems to vault every 18 months, about a year and a half. If you buy a new TV in a year and a half, the newer TVs have something that your TV does not, right? Electronics, they keep them, making them better, improving them. So what's on your mind today? What would you like to talk about? Feel free to jump in the chat and tell me. I have no issues with any subject. I do have some opinions, okay? But I'm not trying to talk you into being on my side. I welcome you to be the devil's advocate if that's what you'd like. As long as we stay within the community guidelines of YouTube, we're good. But if you guys aren't going to be in the chat, I don't need to wear my glasses. It's warm in here today. I turned the heat on. Okay. Well, it got cold last night. When I got up this morning, I had to turn the heater on. .38 is what my phone said, so I don't know what it is now. I would imagine in here it's probably inside my apartment. It's probably high 70s or 80. I'm just going to leave it that way. Outside, it's probably, I don't know, 60 now. We got warmed up a little bit during the heat of the day, but yeah, summer's over here. This is Michigan, and once it starts getting cold, it gets all the way cold eventually. Okay. For right now, we're good. If you see me over here in a snowsuit or something and 6 layers of clothes on, you know that it's dead of winter. Okay. I'll probably get to show you that in January. All right. I don't know how long it takes for the leaves to start turning. I mean, I'd say 1 out of every 20 of the trees has got some color on it now, but it's not full-blown fall. But it will happen. It'll be here in no time at all, believe me. That's the way it works. Hopefully we'll go till December before we get snow. That would be nice. I've seen snow Thanksgiving. Generally, I think Halloween here in Michigan, it's, it ends up being in the mid 40s or something for the kids that are out trick-or-treating. They need some type of a jacket or a coat on underneath their costume. And I saw one of my cousins on a video Tuesday. His Halloween costume is he's going to be a train. He had it looked like a train engine. And then he had the little engineer's cap. It was cute. Well, he's a cousin. It's not one of my kids. I wouldn't hesitate to put one of my kids on, but they're adults now too. So, but I'm not going to put a child on TV. Not my spot, not my kid. Okay. My kid might be different, but someone else's child, no. Not my place to do that. I got to stay in my lane. Okay. I can't wander off on wild tangents just to try to get TV ratings or anything, I'm excited that the channel is starting to improve. It'll just take a while. I think YouTube is starting to catch up, and they're putting us in front of different people every day, trying to find out who our target audience should be. I'm trusting YouTube. I figure they're professionals. They know what they're doing. I'm not doing any marketing on my own. I'm not on any of the other platforms. And I think most of the people that are dealing with live chat are on multiple platforms. To me, it would be ideal to have, 20 people in the chat. I think that would make a real good show. I think if you get 20,000 people in the chat, it's just going to be flying by and we won't be able to make any sense out of it. So I think to a certain degree, smaller is better. Okay. This is my first time podcasting. I like it. I like the live stream. Well, I don't have to edit it. I got it set up so that the whole stream just posts to YouTube as soon as it's done. I think that's simple. Rather than edit, I watch the live stream and then I critique my own behavior. Like today, I'm going to get it for having an itchy mustache and beard. I'll rake myself over the coals for putting my hands in my face all day. Okay. The important thing is I've cleaned up my language. I don't care if, we end up getting an R-type rating in here, but that's going to be up to the chat. Not a decision I need to make. I made all my decisions. I got us here. I got the show. It's up. It's running. We're not getting kicked off. I've got the laptop hardwired directly to the router, so we're not depending on the Wi-Fi. So it alleviated all the connectivity issues that way. I'm looking at switching internet carriers. I got a couple of more questions before I try to, pull the trigger on something. I'd like to be able to lower my costs at the same time improve the performance or the speed. I'm not sure Spectrum is 5G. Seriously. And I know their Wi-Fi has issues. I'm not a specialist. I couldn't tell you what their exact issues are, but I just think their Wi-Fi signal might be weak. Excuse me. They get too much interference from other things. Well, how can I explain this? I was on the phone with a guy from Spectrum, and he says, move your router over here, move your computer over there. Let's see where more interference is coming in. And I'm like, my router is like literally 10 foot away. Why should there be any interference at all? Made no sense to me. But, once I hardwired it, no more issues. I haven't been booted off a line a single time from a live stream. So, problem solved, but I'm still thinking I need to replace, well, probably the router. Well, I don't know why they would have a router that doesn't work worth a darn. Makes no sense to me. Yeah, I need to sit up straight. I don't know why I'm having issues slouching. Put my shoulders back, work on my posture. Okay. Well, when you're staring at, it's like looking in a mirror when you're looking at yourself on camera. I got to critique it. Okay. Just like it looks like I got to trim this beard down. It's getting a little unruly. I like it, the beard, but I don't want it to be unruly. I look shaggy enough. I don't need to press it any further than I already have. I think I'm smoking a lot today, but I don't think it's stress related. I think it, well, if I had something else to do that kept me busy, I wouldn't be smoking. You know what I mean? Seems like I do smoke like a cigarette every 20 minutes or so while I'm doing the live stream, which I find interesting. Well, once the chat gets populated, I'll be able to compare and say, well, if I got more people, I smoke less or something. There might be some correlation there. Depends on what all we end up discussing. Yeah, it's getting better. I guess I could have straightened the collar. I probably should have ironed my shirt. It's close enough. It's all right. Southwest Michigan, that's where I'm at. Where are you guys? So far, I've been talking with people from the UK, England, Turkey, Pennsylvania, Florida, New York. Well, I could tell friends and family and populate this chat, but I don't see any point in doing that. Let YouTube figure it out, sort us out, find the people that want to chat. After that, I'll tell friends and family, after the chat's already populated. Well, you guys are probably finding out way too much information about me. I'm practically a ghost now, Okay. I'm supposed to just drift into the background. The people in the chat are supposed to be the stars. I don't need to be famous. I'm not running for political office. I'm not trying to hustle anybody, manipulate anybody, control anybody. I have no desires to become an online influencer, any of that crapola. I'm not ever going to sell you anything on this show. I mean, my media company is going to have to be profitable doing other ventures, but it doesn't have to be on this show. This show is here to fulfill another need, and that is for me to meet and talk to people. Keep my brain sharp, okay? Keep me, keep me in line. I don't know. My oldest son would probably tell you I need supervision. My youngest son, I think, will let me get away with things a little more. I think he's a little more tolerant. Two sons and one granddaughter. What have you done? Okay. I thought about having more kids, but I was happy with two. I had my sons 23 years apart, though. I might have had more kids if I'd have done them in the, traditional stair step fashion, every 2 years have another kid or something. I would have probably had more, but to be honest, I had my hands full one at a time. Okay. Well, I spoiled my kids as much as I could. Hopefully, they'll spoil their kids the same way. Well, I wanted to, I don't know, upgrade with the newer generation. I think every parent wants their children to have a better life than they had. Technology has been a big plus. Well, the pandemic was a drawback. My kids were grown by the time the pandemic hit, but if you'd had kids at home during the pandemic, I think that was an extra degree of difficulty, because you want your children to learn how to socialize with other people, how to line up and get in a line with other people. all that stuff seems, I don't know, more pronounced since the pandemic. Personal opinion. I saw my brother's grandkids while they were doing their online schooling and all that stuff. And I saw one child excel and the other struggle. I don't think online is for everybody, okay? But I do think that children need to be together with other children, and they need to learn their place in society and how to interact with others. Personal opinion. You guys can voice your opinion anytime you like. Jump into the chat room. Straighten me out if I've flown off course. Okay. I think that people have a right to express their opinion. And I firmly believe that. I understand that in other countries, you don't have the freedom of speech we have here. The United States is fairly unique, which is a good thing. I know they make you think that, if you watch the news, they make you think this whole country's falling apart. It's not. Americans are just like people all over the world. They get up every morning, take care of what they got to take care of, go to work, take care of business there, come home, take care of, people are very responsible. Very few of us are flying off the handle. It just doesn't look that way. Corporate media they don't show you all the good that goes on because they can't make any money off that. They can't hustle off of that. There are good Samaritans out there doing good deeds every day. They just don't get any fanfare. They don't get any publicity. Myself, I think that we need a news channel that shows us nothing but good news. Okay. So that you could just switch the dial and go to a different channel and stop getting scared and threatened and intimidated. Corporate media is not doing us any favors as a society. It's the opposite. They're detrimental, in my opinion. Once again, that's all I can offer you is my perspective, what I see from my corner of the couch. I'd love to hear your perspective. To me, corporate media is not telling you news just as much as they are biased in the news that they do tell you. It's just ridiculous. I think they should have a responsibility to give you an unbiased account of the news. Just simply report the news. But they can't make enough money that way. They are a greedy entity and they're going after more money. I don't think there's a corporation out there that can be happy making 1 million, a media corporation that can be happy making a $1 million profit per year. they're way too greedy for that. They are too greedy to make $1 billion profit every year. They always want to increase. I think that's what drives these CEOs to make the unconscionable decisions that they make. Well, it's like the employer that takes health care away from his employees. How is that not the corporation shooting itself in the foot? Oh, we're saving money. At what cost? At the cost of your employees? Okay. Your employees aren't competing with you. They're on your team. Okay. And a lot of these CEOs treat their employees, they treat their staff worse than they treat their competition. They think that their staff's out to get them. I saw that when I saw some union organizing out in Las Vegas back in the day. You got a corporation that deals with, let's just say, 3 unions, 3 different unions for their employees. And now a 4th union wants to organize, and they decide, well, let's put up $5 million and fight that 4th union. Why? Why would you fight the 4th union? Makes no sense. You were profitable working with the other 3 unions. Now you think you're going to lose your profit margin by dealing with the 4th? Makes no sense. And a lot of things that these corporations do not make sense. I think it's greed that powers them. And if you're a CEO and your corporation is showing a $50 million profit this year, your goal next year is to increase that $50 million profit probably by 10%. So you need to make a $55 million profit the second year. In the third year, you'd need to move those profits up to like 62.5, right? That's how they're driven. If you're the CEO and you're not increasing the profits that we had last year, we're going to replace you with a new CEO that will increase the profits. But somewhere down the line, they've got to learn to share the wealth and say, well, we've had this guy working for us at minimum wage for 15 years, yet our profit has gone up every year for 15 years. Maybe we should give that minimum wage worker a little bit more money. Duh. I want my corporation to survive, but not at the cost of all of its employees, of which I'm the only employee. Only operating officer. Okay. But I just, you know what I'm saying? As my Ghost Mostly Media increases and starts turning a profit and I hire employees, I'm not going to lock them into a wage while I keep making more money every year. If I'm making more money every year, my employees that are doing the good job should also be making more money every year. That's only right. Somewhere these CEOs lost the ability to determine right from wrong. I don't know how they make some of the decisions that they make. Personal opinion. I know that they've got a college degree or whatever, but I don't know what they're teaching in the college that tells you to hurt your own staff or financially assault your own customer base. That makes no sense to me at all. I see a lot of pricing in corporate America that it's based on popular demand. If they see there's a greater demand, they jack up the price. Well, look at your gasoline prices. The oil companies, first thing they did was buy all the refineries. Once they bought all the refineries, they shut half of them down. Why? Oh, to cut costs, to increase profit. But then they come up and they say, well, there's an oil shortage right now, so we're going to have to charge more. What was wrong with the amount of profit that you were making before that you have to increase that amount of profit to the point where it hurts me, the consumer? Makes no sense. It just means that they have a take mentality. They control the production. They control the refinery process, and they control the distribution to their consumer, right? They control every aspect. If they're controlling every aspect, and then they're saying, well, it's price based on availability, makes no sense. I'll slow production so that I can increase my profits. How does that make sense? How about I increase production and lower the price to my consumer, and I make more money? That makes more sense to me. They control the production, and anytime they want, they slow that production and raise the price to increase their profits. They take, I'll call it 1 million gallons, just to use a fictitious number. Take 1 million gallons of oil and they put it in tankers and they ship it out into the ocean. And they say, well, if that 1 million gallons had already been to the refinery, we'd have a greater supply. But now we don't have that great supply. Well, you do have that great supply, but you're the one that put it in the tankers and shipped it out in the middle of the ocean and left it sit there for 3 months. Makes no sense. They're doing this to maximize their profits at the cost of crippling the economy. Not a smart move. To me, that's a bonehead move, a dick move. Why would you treat your customers like that? You remember in the pandemic, nobody was using gas, so the price went down. We couldn't go anywhere. We weren't allowed to, right? The price came down. Did these companies go out of business? No. When the price was down, they survived just fine. So why is the price up now? If when the price was down and no one was buying their product, they survived just fine, why is the price up now? Because they want the price up now. Oh, now I'm getting it. Okay. I saw them do this exact same thing with the rooms in Vegas. You know, you have corners, an intersection in Las Vegas, like the Las Vegas Strip and Tropicana Boulevard. They've got 20,000 hotel rooms just on that one corner, that one intersection, right? They know that those hotel rooms are going to sell out on New Year's Eve. So they jack up the price because they know they're going to sell out. They maximize their profit, but essentially what they're doing is cheating their own customer. If you came on Valentine's Day instead of New Year's Eve, that room that we rented you on New Year's Eve for $600, you can pick it up on Valentine's Day 2 months later. You can pick up that exact same room for $300. Still a holiday weekend, but it's not as big a holiday weekend as New Year's Eve, right? Now you come back in April, say the 14th of April, a few months later, the exact same room you can get for $90 a night. Why the three different price structures, right? Because they got to take advantage of their own customer base. Why would you want to hurt your own customer base? That makes no sense. Eventually, that customer is going to wise up and he's going to say, well, why would I ever go there on New Year's Eve and pay $600 for that room when I can go in April and get the same room for $90? I can stay 5 times longer in April than I can on New Year's. It makes no sense to treat your customers, your loyal followers. Why would you want to do that to them? Makes no sense. Well, if you dig into the weeds of it, you'll find out that their players list, their customer base, once they market that individual and they get them into their building and spending their money at their property, they can only keep them for a period of 7 years. Within 7 years, all of those customers that they marketed this year, 7 years later, they're all going to be gone somewhere else. Why? Because they were abusive to them for 7 straight years. And your customer's only going to put up with that for so long. They've driven their own customer away. It's, let me show you a different marketing strategy, right? Grand Canyon River rafting tours. Now, I haven't checked in a few years, but the last time I knew, there was a 10-year waiting list to take that tour. 10 years. And could you imagine if you owned a casino and you had a waiting list of 10 years to come and stay at your casino? Talk about job security. Man, does it get any better than that? But the corporations have lost their way. They don't have the same morals and ethics that you and I have. They've got you into their door. They identified you as their customer. And now they're going to financially abuse you as often as they can for the next 7 years when you walk out their front door flipping them the bird. This place just burned me for no reason at all. I've been coming here for years, and now they're taking advantage of me. That's not the way to treat a customer base. I worked the service industry all my life, okay? And you don't treat your customer that way. You treat your customer with dignity, respect, and fairness. You don't cheat them. The restaurant that I had breakfast with my father at this morning, their pancake, okay, has been the same price for 8 years. I think I've made my point. I didn't go in there and have a pancake this morning and have the owner jump me in the parking lot, stick a gun in my back and say, give me an extra $10. He didn't do that. He plans to stay in business, okay? Until his cost for making that pancake rises, he's not passing it on to me, his customer. And you know what? I'm probably going to go in and have another pancake next week. To me, one strategy makes sense and the others do not. It's like if you took a cab from the airport to home and the cab ride costs you, let's say, $30. And then you flew out the next week and then you flew back and then you had to take a cab from the airport back home. You're expecting that cab ride to cost you $30. But now the cabbie pulls up and he says, that'll be $50, please. Why the $20 more? Well, because I can rip you off. I can take advantage of you, right? That's not a strategy. It's a death sentence to your business. You're doing a detriment. Makes no sense to me why people do this kind of stuff. Speaking of cab drivers, I got to tell you about this guy I had a few years back. I went into New Orleans for a weekend. Get off the plane at the airport, and I needed to get from the airport to the French Quarter, my hotel. And the cab driver hands me a business card when he drops me off at my hotel. And he says, while you're in town, if you need a cab, call me. I'll be there. I'm like, okay. That's nice, because I don't know the number of the cab. I would have to walk up to the concierge or the desk and say, hey, where do I catch a cab? You know. So we go about our vacation, and we were drinking. Of course, it was New Orleans, you know, and the wife says she wanted to go play pool. I said, okay. So I pulled out the cab driver's card. I called him up. I said, hey, we want to go play pool. He says, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Okay. Walk out the front door. Boom. He pulls up, get in his cab. Same driver. I already know him. We've got an established relationship. Drops us off at a place where we can play pool. And he says, call me when you're ready to head back. Okay, will do. We spend, I don't know, 3-4 hours there playing pool, drinking, you know. And it's time to leave. So I call him up and tell him, hey, we want to go to dinner. Do you know a nice place where we can go get a steak? Sure. Okay. Get in his cab, he takes us. Go in, we're having the steak dinner. And I go out and I call him up again. I say, hey, come and take us over here to the hotel. Okay. Takes us back to the hotel. One day I got 4 different rides from the same guy. Smart businessman. Do you think on the 3rd time he raised the price on me? No, he didn't. Okay. The whole weekend I used one cab driver the whole time I was there. The only other transportation I did was we went for a carriage ride. Okay. That was not the same cab driver. That was a horse-drawn carriage. All right. But any transportation I needed the whole time I was in New Orleans, that one cab driver got 100% of my business. I would urge any corporate owner to realize, treat your people with respect, and they're going to be loyal. I didn't drop him for another cab driver. It never even dawned on my mind that I could. I wanted the one guy. He gave me that card. I kept it the whole time I was in New Orleans. He took me back to the airport when I left 4 days later. And yes, I was there for a 3-day weekend, ended up staying 4 days. I got drunk and changed my plane ticket on the last day. Okay. I'm human, right? But what I'm saying is loyalty is a two-way street. And if a corporation's not showing you loyalty for you being their customer, maybe you ought to do business with somebody else. Personal opinion. Imagine that cab driver had told me, I got to double the rates. It's after 8 p.m. I'm with my family now. He didn't. He got in that damn cab and he came and he got me. No matter where I was. Okay. No matter what time I called. Okay. Smart businessman. You better believe that every time he drove me, I tipped the piss out of that guy. I gave him more money than he needed. Believe me. These corporations need to know how to take care of their customers. And not just the casinos, not just the airliners or the oil, all of them. They don't show us the loyalty that we show them when we're trying to do business with them. And they go the opposite way. They take advantage. I got this guy down. I'm going to take every dime he's got. Once I get rid of him, I'll get a new guy and I'll do the exact same thing. That's their business plan. That's their model. That's their I don't know. I don't know why they do that. I can understand if their costs go up and they have to increase price on me gradually, right? If I go in for a pancake next week and the price went up 50 cents or even $1, right? I'm still going to do business with that guy. He passed on the added cost, yes, right? But he didn't gouge me. He didn't take advantage of me. He didn't put his foot on my neck. Okay. And that's all I'm saying is I just think that corporations need to learn something real quick because all they're doing is putting themselves out of business. I see it happening. Yeah, it takes some decades because they make so much money, right? But eventually they're going to pay the price. Eventually those casinos in Las Vegas are going to be empty. How do I know that? Pick up your phone. You'll have 40 options to gamble. You don't have to leave your living room. Right? Why would you need to go to Vegas? Oh, I want to go for the show. How long before that show is no longer in Vegas? The album's always going to be on Spotify, right? They're going to put themselves out of business. Same thing with these airlines. They're doing it too. Banks, the exact same way. A bank wants to charge you an ATM fee to get your money. Not to get their money, to get your money. Smart move. Duh. They're shooting themselves in the foot. Well, yeah, their stockholders are happy. Okay, they increased their profits over last year, right? Somebody bounces it back. Oh, we got to get $50 for that. I'm sorry. You're attacking a man that doesn't have money. It makes no sense at all. It's foolish. No, these corporations are going to learn the lesson the hard way. Brick and mortar stores are going out of business all over the country because of just such a thing, mistreating their customers. If you see a mom and pop bodega that's taking care of their customers, they're going to be in business for years. They literally are going to have to wait for their customer base to die. That should tell them something, you know. You got to treat people with respect. It's the same as these employers that never give a raise, even though their profits are increasing year after year. They've disrespected their own staff. How can they expect loyalty from a staff that they've disrespected themselves? I just see that in my personal view as being self-destructive. It's like friendship with people. You make friends with a guy, you don't hit on his wife. Common sense, right? Treat his wife with respect, dignity. Treat him with respect, dignity. You can have that friendship for life. Disrespect him one time, and what happens? He's gone, no longer in your life. Did you do it to yourself? I think so. Right? It's the exact same thing. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Well, if you're a CEO that's been jacking up his prices so that he can increase his profit margin every year and alienated his customer base, you deserve to get fired for not increasing your profits this year. You should have come up with a smarter move to increase your profits. Expanded your business. Additional marketing. Bring new people in, right? There are other avenues other than, well, I'm going to take the health care away from my employees. Instead of being employer paid, we're going to make the employee pay $300 a month out of his wages to have the exact same insurance. Stupid. You can't treat people like that and expect them to be loyal to you, in my opinion. And I watched this stuff go down for years. I remember when I was a young man, my father's factory was on strike. There were 3 owners of that factory. And the union had tried to negotiate with the 3 owners and they couldn't. So my father gets another job. And he says, he wrangles me up one day and he says, I need you to ride with me. He says, going to get my toolbox and take it out of one factory and I'm going to go put it in another factory. I'm like, oh, okay. No problem, Dad, So we get in the car and we go and we drive to the shop that was on strike and we go across the picket line and we're talking to some of the guys on the picket line and he's telling them, yeah, I got to get my toolbox. I got another job. And, he says, I'll still come back and do my picket duty like I'm supposed to. And, they said, cool. And we get up to the shop and one of the owners comes up and he says, hey, what are you doing? He says, I came to get my toolbox. Got nothing. Well, this whole strike, it's all your guys' fault. Your union misrepresented, da, 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 da. And my father says, well, where were you owners last week? And he says, oh, we went to Hawaii. We all 3 of us, we took our families. We had a big family vacation in Hawaii, yada, yada, yada. And he says, my father says to him, and yet your plant's not running, your factory's not running, and you go and you guys spend $50,000 on vacation instead of signing the contract with the union and having everybody go back to work and making money. You go on vacation. My father turned to him and he says, you better hope they don't burn this. Well, an expletive. He says, you better hope that the union doesn't decide to accidentally burn this joint down. They settled their strike a couple of days later. Okay. And to me, it's these owners have no clue what they're doing. They're living in their own dream world. They're not in reality. Reality would tell you, take care of business and then go on vacation. Don't go on vacation when the business is ripped to shreds due to your cheapness. If he was profitable the year before, he's going to be profitable this year. Just another fool. Personal opinion. My father was a factory worker and he had 4 different journeyman's cards and he was never out of work. Okay. Ever. I got mad respect for him. He was a provider. He was the Johnny on the job. All right. I tried to do the same thing in my adult life as an employee. Tried to be dependable, reliable, knowledgeable, skilled. I think that's the work ethic that all Americans have. Not just Americans, all the workers in the world. I don't care what country you go to, everybody's got to get up and go to work every day. Well, in Europe, they get a lot more than 1 week's paid vacation a year. Okay, let me tell you that. No, the way America treats its workers is disgraceful. 5 10-hour days, or no, 5 8-hour days versus 4 10-hour days. Which would you prefer? I'd prefer 4 10s. I'd rather have that extra day off with my family. And I think most parents are the same way. But yet, the guy that invented that 5-day, 40-hour work week, where the hell is he? Okay. I think he's in Hawaii on vacation, oblivious to what he's done. And they would rather work you that 5th day and now let you have that day off. Makes no sense. Sooner or later, they got to realize they're pissing away money. They've got to have the power on. They've got to have the staff for that 5th day. They don't need it if production stays the same. If I'm making 15 parts an hour, why do you care whether I'm working 4 days or 5 days? Makes no sense. This is a hell of a rabbit hole I've gone down. Jump in the chat and straighten me out. Say, shut up, Ghost. You're rambling. Please. I see a lot of things that corporations do in the name of profit, like rolling back safety regulations is a big one for me. That safety regulation was put in to save lives, and you're going to roll it back because you don't care about the lives. You can just waste them. Yeah. When you're standing at the pearly gates, I wonder, is St. Peter going to come up and say, you remember that decision you made? Right back at you, buddy. Okay, right back at you. What's that saying? Oh, karma can be a bitch. It really can. At least I believe it can. And I believe it sooner or later, it's going to come back to bite you in the butt. Every poor choice I ever made in my lifetime came back to bite me in the butt. Okay, every one of them. I didn't get to skate on any of my poor choices. What was that the guy said? If you do the crime, you got to do the time, right? Hey, that's just the way it is. Maybe you shouldn't be treating people poorly. Maybe you shouldn't be disrespectful to your staff or your customers, or maybe you need to treat them with respect. And maybe as you climb the ladder of success, don't pull the ladder up behind you. Try the other way. Try to lend a hand and help the next guy up too. Okay. It might pay for itself in the end, right? I've never had a friend walk up to me and hit me in the mouth and say, "Hey, you cheated me." Why? Because I never cheated my friends. It's the exact same thing in business. Treat people the way you want to be treated. That same CEO that raised the prices when he didn't have to, so he could increase his profit margin, right? That same CEO, right? That's got to bite him in the butt at some point. It's got to come back to haunt him. Maybe when he goes on vacation, they double the charge and they say, "Oh, yeah, Remember how you passed it on? Well, now it's our turn. We're going to pass it on. We're going to financially rape you. Okay. I don't mean to use such terminology, but a lot of what I see going on by corporations, I consider to be a version of financial rape. They just decide to attack your wallet for no reason. It's Tuesday, it's Wednesday, raise the prices. I know we don't need to, but let's raise them anyways. More people want to go out on Friday night, so Friday nights we're going to put a cover charge on the bar. You got to pay to get in on Friday night. It's free Monday through Thursday, but Friday, Saturday, we're going to put on a cover charge, make you pay. How successful was that strategy? I saw it come up in the 70s and I saw it die in the 80s. Okay. It didn't cut it. You can't treat your customer base like that. There's no future in it. Those bars that used to do that, they're no longer in business. They've shuttered their doors. I went there as a youth, and I drive by them now, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that paid off for those idiots. They didn't make it. How does a bar go out of business? By cheating its customers, by mistreating its customers, by not being loyal to their customers, right? Most guys I know that like to go to the bar and have a beer, go to the same bar. They don't change. They might add an additional bar, but they don't ditch the one that they've been going to for years. They keep going there. Every guy I've ever met that goes to the bar to have a beer is loyal to their bar. They like the temperature of the beer. They like the staff. They like the atmosphere. They like the decor. They like something about it initially. I go there because they got a shuffleboard I like to play, So let's take the shuffleboard out. Or better yet, let's make it $5 to play instead of $1. That'll teach them. Our profit margin will go up and we'll be, swimming in cash. Idiots. Okay. I think it's absurd to treat your bread and butter. I wouldn't do it. Well, while I was in the corporate hierarchy, I used to tell them every time I got promoted, by the way, the higher up I get, the closer to the door I'm going to get. Just so you know. There are certain things I'm not willing to do. I'm not willing to mistreat a worker. I'm not. I know the difference between right and wrong. And I never do anything wrong. It'd be the same thing if I was in the National Guard and they tried to send me into Chicago. I'd tell them, no. I ain't putting on a uniform and grabbing a gun to fight Americans. That's not what I signed up for. There is no riot. There is no out of control crime. Chicago is not a war zone. If you believe that, you've been brainwashed. Okay. It's not. I know Chicago is a 2-hour drive from me. All right. I can go there anytime I want. It's not a war zone. If it were a war zone, I would know. Okay. It's not. Is there crime in Chicago? Yes. There are alleys that I'm not going to walk down at 3 o'clock in the morning. Plain and simple. But you don't need the military. It's the same thing if I'm working for ICE. Fire tear gas and rubber bullets into that crowd. No, I'm not going to do it. It's not. I know the difference between right and wrong, son. Get a clue. Okay? I ain't doing it. I'm not picking up a gun against a fellow American. That's absurd. These people, I'm sorry, but, our president is suffering from dementia. And he doesn't have anyone sane around him. All he's got is sycophants. If anyone was sane around him, they'd tell him, don't send the troops into Chicago. Leave Chicago alone. Chicago is a good American city. Leave them alone. Why would you need to send troops into Chicago when Chicago didn't come up and say, help? If Chicago says help, that's a different story. But the people of Chicago aren't saying help. They're not. Not their mayor, not their governor, okay? Not their senators, not their congressmen. It's dementia, okay? He thinks at some point, he thinks there's an issue. There is no issue. It's dementia. Pete, I got a neighbor, bless her heart. She's in her 90s. Her favorite TV show is Little House on the Prairie. And she wants to talk to me every day about Little House on the Prairie. She thinks she's living in Little House on the Prairie. That is her life. It's dementia. I need to be patient and understanding with her. So I walk by her and I say, hi, Elizabeth. How you doing today? How's Laura Ingle? Made her day. She thinks she lives in the TV program Little House on the Prairie. It's dementia. Trump thinks America is at war with itself. It's not. I went out this morning. I went to breakfast. I was out in public. Nobody said a bad word. I didn't see a gun. There was no fights. There were no altercations. There were no protests. It was a nice, peaceful morning. Do you think I need the military to come in here and straighten these suckers out? No. Okay. I'm sorry. Well, this leads us right up to how I've been closing the shows. I'm just telling people, you got to live and let live. Somebody's got to tell Trump to live and let live. Leave these damn people alone. They're not hurting you. It's dementia. Yeah. It's sad. He needs our sympathy. Okay. That's what Trump needs. He doesn't need blind loyalty. He needs sympathy, empathy. You're going through something, dude. Lighten up. Leave people alone. It's like every week I envision him walking, walking through a scene from a movie like, I don't know. Let's say you walked into a cave that had 18 grizzly bears in there. Are you going to walk up to a grizzly bear? Or are you going to leave them alone? You might want to leave them alone, okay? You're outnumbered. And they're all badasses, you know? But Trump can't do that right now. He's got to kick every bear he sees. I don't care if it's in foreign policy. I don't care if it's in any other avenue that the president gets his attention drawn to. He's in the business of kicking bears right now. And it's ridiculous that these sycophants are allowing this to go on. In his first term, we had people there that kept the car within the guardrails, that kept him from veering off, right? And this is all he's doing now, is veering off from one extreme to the next. Oh my God, leave people alone. Okay? Live and let live. I'm telling people, don't try to micromanage your neighbor. Leave them alone. You're like a Karen. You're going to go up and you're going to say, hey, you can't do this. Leave that man alone. Let him do what he's doing. If he breaks the law will arrest him. Leave the man alone. Okay? It's absurd to think that you can control everybody. You can't. Especially not in America. I guarantee you, if you lash out, they're going to eventually lash out against you. It's all a double-edged sword. If you pick on somebody, somebody's going to pick on you. Right? It's like the Hatfields and the McCoys. You know the story. Who started it? Nobody knows. Can't tell you who started it. Is everybody lashing out at one another? Yes, they're lashing out at one another for no apparent reason. You cannot pick and choose for people. You can't tell me how to mow my lawn. Okay? You can't. Well, one, I don't have a lawn. Okay? I live in an apartment building. But my point is, you can't pick and choose. You can only pick and choose for you, your family. Okay? You can't pick and choose for me and my family. You need to learn to leave us alone. We, in turn, need to learn to leave you alone. Right? We have more similarities than we see. Do you love your family? I love my family. We've got a similarity. Do you have to work for a living? I have to work for a living. We've got a similarity. Do you like to do anything that I like to do? We've got a similarity. We've got common ground. Are you sitting around plotting to murder someone tomorrow? I'm not. So why would we think that someone is sitting and plotting out murder tomorrow? Because we've been conditioned and brainwashed by corporate media. They've scared us into thinking that there's someone out there plotting our death. They're not. They're going about their business. They're doing their thing. They're making their choices in life. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. We should focus on us and do what we're supposed to be doing. You want to pick and choose for people? Go up to your adult child and try to tell them who to date. Good luck with that, you dumbass. It ain't going to work. The kid's going to date anybody that kid wants to date. Your opinion does not matter. And that's what you're trying to go up against when you're trying to micromanage your neighbor. He needs to paint his house. None of your business. I need to paint my house. None of his business. It's none of his business. I'll paint my house when I'm damn ready to paint my house. And I don't have a house. I live in an apartment. My point is live and let live. When push comes to shove, that same neighbor that you want to try to micromanage, that you want to try and pick and choose for, or that same neighbor that wants to try and pick and choose for you, he's going to be your best friend. Why? Because you have common ground. What's the common ground? You live in the same city. Why do you live in the same city? Why don't you guys live 100 miles apart? Because when people get together and collaborate, they're successful. Humans combine to build and to succeed. Two men can build a house faster than one man alone. Proven fact. I don't care how good the one man is. Two men are always faster if they work together. That's why we have cities. That's why we all live in a small area. If that was not true, if it wasn't, nobody would live next to anybody. Why would I want to live within even earshot of you? Half the time I think you're an idiot. Okay? Live and let live, because we're here for a reason. We got together, we're in the same area, and we have more in common than you think. And the reason is you've been brainwashed by the news media. If you're a white man, the news media is telling you the brown or the black man is against you. He's not. He's too busy to be against you. He's got to work. He's got to pay his bills. He's got responsibilities to his family, the same as you do. He shares in the same responsibilities you do. How do I know? Because he lives in the same city you do. He's got the same set of problems. You just aren't aware of his problems. How could you be aware of his problems? You've never spoken to the man. Why have you never spoken to him? Well, you don't know him. Why don't you know him? Well, because the news media scared you and told you that he was a bad guy. Here's the news. He's not a bad guy. He's just a guy. Live and let live. When the dam breaks and the flood hits and you're standing in chest high water, are you going to pick and choose which boat you get into? Or are you going to get into the first boat you see? I think you're going to get into the first boat you see. I don't think you're going to care if that guy in that boat's wearing a red hat. I don't think you're going to care if it's a black man. I don't think you're going to care if he's Jewish. I don't care. I don't think you're going to care if he's Muslim. I don't think you're going to care I think you're going to grab his hand and get the hell out the water, like any intelligent human being would do. Okay? Personal opinion. That same personal opinion, I think that if I'm in the water and you're the guy in the boat, I think you're going to offer me a hand. I think that you're going to help get me out of this goddamn water. And I think that I'm going to hug you and thank you. All right? We're going to work together when we have to. But if you think that the whole world is conspiring against you, you're wrong. You probably need to get some counseling. Because walk out your front door and point out the criminal. He's not there. The bad guy, the boogeyman, is not real. Why would that guy be conspiring against me? What would he possibly have to gain? He's not conspiring against me. He's doing his thing. And I need to leave him alone and let him do his thing. If he needs my help, he'll ask. If I need his help, I'll ask. But other than that, we're on our own. You do your thing, I'll do my thing. Let's leave each other alone. That's my point. You can't micromanage for others. You can't pick and choose. I can't force you to do anything. You can't force me to do anything. You just got to have a little bit thicker skin. Don't let it bother you what you can't control or who you can't control. I'm not going to let it bother me. Be patient with one another. Be understanding with one another. Be compassionate with one another. You don't know what's on his plate. You don't know what stress he's dealing with in his life. And he, in turn, does not know what stresses you're dealing with in your life. You really want to get over your fear of that guy? You really want to get over it? Sit down and share a meal with him. Break bread with the man. Go work an 8-hour shift with the man. You'll feel differently about him then. I guarantee it. With that said, I'm your host, Ghost Mostly. Thank you for watching today. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I also appreciate you liking the stream and subscribing if you can. If you can't, don't worry about it. I'm not here to pile anything on you. I'm just talking. If you'd like to talk, the show's called Afternoon Chat. Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We can talk about anything you'd like. We don't have to talk what I'm talking about. The chat is going to rule this channel, not me. Okay? Thank you for your time. I really do appreciate you. Okay? With that said, I will see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Take care of one another. Be nice. Be nice to everyone you ever meet all the time, and that niceness will come back to you tenfold. That's my prediction. I'll see you tomorrow at 3.